We just went live here. Let me refresh the page. I don't know if it's gonna show up. Hello everybody. I hope everybody is doing good. I'm just refreshing my Facebook page to see. I think yes, we have connection. Okay.
Yeah.
I yes, thank you guys for stopping by. I just want to yeah, I can see my my double reflection there. David Lewis, thank you for stopping by today. We are actually in the midst of doing the accountability group. This is week 2. You can see that
Cheers.
week 2 for the accountability group. And this is part of the special guest series, right? Just to make it a little bit more official. Yeah, and again, thank you guys for being able to post. I know Fortune and Stacy, Jana, you guys have been killing it. Wendy as well. And yeah, absolutely special. I just wanted to bring on a special guest today, David Lewis, who has a fitness brand, and we're here to talk to him about his business. Am I wrong to say that you have a black belt? I don't.
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh yeah, okay. I knew
In
he has a black belt in jujitsu.
Taekwondo.
In
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, I was
Yeah.
close. Yeah, because this is let's say this is a second series. We've already had a podcast together, and
Yeah.
David Lewis has so many nuggets of wisdom, and just brought him on to give us some like motivation. He's going to talk about tons of things. Um, First, let's start off with his business, what he's doing, and then get into the whole fitness aspect. Like you heard it, he has a black belt in Taekwondo. Uh, David Lewis, thank you so much for coming here tonight and talking to us. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. That was great intro. I'm gonna
Thanks.
say, man, I don't know if people tell you this, but your voice is like butter. It's just so smooth and like just puts people in the mood. They just feel good, right? Like when I hear you, I'm just like, I listen to your stuff, like, man, just hear it all in the background. Like that's a good voice, man.
Oh,
So
nice.
just to hear that, and then like hear that introduction, like it feels good. And
That's
I'm happy
cool,
to
man.
be here, and thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
anyone who's in the chat, thanks for joining us and being here with us live.
Hi,
Um,
Wendy. See that we already have someone in there. Hi, Wendy. Yeah. Yeah. Ask questions. So we'll be talking for a little bit, and then feel free to jump on, ask questions. But yeah, about your, it says on your title, there's Swole Bears.
yes, sir.
Talk to us about that, man.
Yes, sir. So, Swole Bears is the company I'm starting. It's a, in short, it's basically just a protein gummy bear, right?
Mhm.
So, I took whey isolate, which is if you go like jump, we're going to jump a little bit into this right now. Is if we take like
Let's do
if you
it.
take like whey protein, if you look at the different types, there's essentially two. Technically, there's three, but there's whey concentrate and whey isolate. Whey isolate is the more concentrated version of protein. So it's taking pure protein and
Yeah.
then packing that into like a little bit into a little gummy bear. And
Okay.
then that's about 2 grams of protein stuffed right into a gummy bear that you can
What's it
eat.
going, man? Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that you can use it to like when you're traveling. Well, I mean, you can just have it as a snack.
Hmm.
And if you hate protein shakes that much, you can have just protein gummy bears instead.
Yeah.
And it really, it's like it's a pain product for myself, right?
Hmm.
Because when I came up with the idea when I was working out in the park with some friends, and I wanted a protein shake afterwards, and I went to my car and I just poured water into a little shaker mug or a shaker bottle,
Yeah.
shook it up, and everything clumped to the bottom, and I had to like dig my finger in there and stir it around, and it was
Yeah.
not a good experience.
No.
And at the time, which to this day actually, I was really focusing on like supplementations, and so I had this like mound of vitamins and pills that I was taking in the morning, and I was like, man, this is not the best thing in the world to just choke down a bunch of pills in the morning and like chug a bunch of water. So I started switching them over to gummies because there's like a lot of gummy supplements nowadays. And so I was
Wow.
kind of
Mhm.
I was like in this very like gummy mindset, like everything needs to be gummy in my life. And so when that happened, I just had that like light bulb moment of like, man, I really wish there was a gummy protein, and I looked, and there wasn't at the time.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that's where the idea came from, and I started it.
I saw that video. I think it was on your TikTok where there's a video of a girl just putting like a scoop of cake in her mouth. I'm like, but I can't
Yeah,
see that's happened.
yeah,
Kind of
people
dope.
just raw scoop protein. Mainly they do it with pre-workout because it's smaller. But yeah, I've seen people do it with protein, and like I'm coughing when I see that. Right? Like
Yeah.
how do you do that? Like I
No.
can't. I
Yeah.
cannot do. I don't have enough like saliva in my mouth to make that liquid.
No. Like this, because is that bad for you though? Because I heard that if you don't take
Mm,
it in a liquid form, like it might get stuck in your intestines. I don't know. Maybe that's like a
I
myth.
guess like I forgot the word for it, but like in terms of like absorption and everything, that's not. I don't think it's gonna have any effect. But I think mechanically it has problems.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it might cause like a scratchy throat, or um, you could choke on it or
Yeah.
cough it up. But
Yeah.
I think like uh, meta- metabolically, not really. It's
Okay.
just another form of having protein. Not a very pleasant form, but it is a form.
Yeah, for sure. But what's interesting is because I mean, you have a background in martial arts,
Mhm.
but you also have a background in, I mean, you're in biotechnology.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like how do you combine those two worlds? Because I have a science background, but I
Mhm.
mean, being able to look at fitness from certain perspectives, I think unconsciously, I think a certain specific way about fitness, like what's
Yeah.
the application of it, and just wanted to get some of your feedback. Like, how do you? I don't know.
Yeah. So I think for me, because I was an immunologist, so I mainly focused on immunology and T cell receptors, things like that. Not so much of health. Health was more of like I guess, passion hobby of mine. So I was kind of just combining the two worlds. But what the thing is with science is just because I'm specialized in a certain field, I still have the ability to, you know, look at other fields within science. And so I
Mhm.
think one of the biggest things that for me that's helpful with having a science background is I can read scientific papers and understand them, or scientific journals, and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, because a lot of people, I'm sure we've all experienced 2020 when a lot of people said that they would do their own research for certain subjects. Um, not to go political, but the thing is that a lot of people say that they're going to do their own research, but they don't have the
Mhm.
qualifications to do their own research.
Yeah,
You know, so it's like I respect what you're trying to do, but I don't think you can actually do it. And so that
interesting.
that translates also to obviously like health and fitness. Like
Yeah,
I can hand you a scientific journal, and if you
yeah,
don't have like the experience and training on how to like actually properly
yeah,
read it and go through it, a lot of it's going to be like missed. A lot of it can probably go right over your head.
yeah,
And not to say that you can't learn that skill, but how many times a day are you reading a scientific journal? If you're like an accountant or something,
Mhm, mhm,
like not probably not that often.
yeah.
And so I'm able to actually like read these journals and like be able to kind of translate it and take the science from the journal and apply it to things.
That's so interesting because I think being able to have been trained and like studied for so many years and actually apply it, I think even that idea has like escaped my mind. Being able to read it, but then understand and like apply the concepts, be like, okay, that's why that's important. Because you can definitely read a research paper or Google something,
Yeah.
but do you really know into like its full capacity? And reading a scientific article, it's super dense because each word is like purposefully,
Mhm.
like scientific writing is not English.
Yeah.
It's like so concise, and
Yeah.
to be able to, yeah, it's I find that
It,
really interesting.
a,
So,
a
mhm,
lot of journals do actually have a word limit. So like
yeah,
people write like a 30-page document and they're like they'll tell you, okay, bring it down to 12.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to like cut down 30 pages of words to 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, everything has to be very concise, to the point, and encompass a lot of ideas in very few words.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like how you said that I can take a subject, but then read it and then understand it and translate it. I think that's like the really interesting part because
Yeah.
you love fitness. I mean, you have a black belt in Taekwondo, but then you can interpret certain like I don't know. I mean, that's why you started a protein
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
fitness brand.
A lot of things I'm doing now, because my company's soon to launch. I actually just received an email from my manufacturer about. We can get in that later, but
Yeah.
but it's soon to launch. But so right now, what I'm doing is kind of I want to educate people about health, fitness, and specifically protein and supplements, because that's what I'm in. I'm in like the supplement field.
Yeah.
I want to like educate them. Like, do you like a lot of times? Do you need these supplements? Or is this what you should be having? Like, what's good for you? What's bad for you? What is just like buzz versus what actually has scientific provings to work?
Hmm. Do you think that because again, like it's hard to. There's some moments where I get into a conversation and I'll be talking science or whatever, and people are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what
What
you mean.
really is skill.
I get like the phrases like, wow, you seem to really know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, right? And what does that look like? I mean, is it like education or is it you're just trying to
It's a skill to be able to translate something dense into like a more
yeah.
layman terms. So I've been told that I'm actually fairly decent at it.
Mhm.
Uh, but I think the more complicated the subject is, the harder it is to do, and sometimes you kind of get lost in the sauce, right? You
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
I think a lot of it's nomenclature or like using the terminology. And if someone doesn't, I think there was like somewhere I was reading, and it was talking about like when you use words that people aren't familiar with or don't know, it takes them like a couple seconds to like kind of hear that word and try and like process that word. But you've
Oh,
already moved on and are saying other things. And if
yeah,
you
yeah,
keep using multiple words like
yeah,
that, at some point it just people just their attention just leaves because there's I you lost me. I don't understand what you're saying.
yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, yeah, it's again the communication. Like, has that been a huge struggle for you? Do you feel being able to?
Mm, I don't. Depends on the subject matter, but I don't think so. Specifically with this, like in when I'm trying to explain people my like actually how I make money in my job, yes, but with in terms of like Swole bears and like protein and supplements, not really, honestly. The biggest pushback I get is people who try and deny what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
and I always try and like show the papers that I'm getting my information from.
Yeah.
So I try and be nice about it, but I think sometimes the phrase I'm using now is "show me your receipts." So it's just like, no, you're wrong, and this is what you should be doing. I just say, show me your receipts.
Huh.
Like,
What do you mean receipts? Like receipts of?
show me the papers. Show
Yeah,
me your documentation. Show me where you're right and I'm wrong. Because like
yeah,
that's also part of science, right? A lot of people think like, okay,
yeah,
a scientist isn't always right.
yeah,
They have
un-
research backing what they're saying, but
yeah,
if you have something that contradicts what they're saying, you either A are right or B you have a discussion.
yeah, yeah,
So and
yeah.
I think that's a lot. It's not about like I'm right, you're wrong. It's I'm right and have not, or I have not been proven wrong. You can prove
Mm,
me wrong. I'm right until I'm proven wrong.
yeah.
So if you can do it, great. I'm all ears.
Yeah, 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 that's super interesting. Because like the way that you're I don't know if you when you're talking about the brand itself, I mean, do you mention that you have this background?
I don't really, honestly. I kind of go more with like I do martial arts background.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like, at least from what I've seen, majority of people who are either trying to sell you something online in terms of fitness, they're like usually like some sort of bodybuilder or like some
Mhm.
fitness athlete or something. it's very rare do I see a combination of like, or a scientist or as someone who works in science and fitness. I've only seen it, I would say, like twice. I'm sure there's more out there. Just personally, I've only seen it twice.
Hmm. Now that you touched on the fitness, you have like these multifaceted, you're like a renaissance man. Tell us about being a black belt jujitsu. Like, when the hell did you do that? Like, and then talk about the biotechnology afterwards, just so like people like, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of actually started after I actually got into martial arts pretty late in the game.
Okay.
Well, technically, I started when I was a kid. I did like karate, then I kind of quit. And then when I was in college, I started just like lifting weights. And then after college, I graduated during the Great Recession, so not a great time. But I started running because running's free. And so I was a big time runner actually until
Wow.
I
Okay.
ran a marathon, and it was after that that I realized how much time it was taking to do that, to train for that. It was I didn't have a social life anymore, right? Because if
Don't
I
tell me
was
that because I want to run a marathon in September. Like,
dude, I say go for it. It's a
wow.
great experience. I think it like mentally it just makes you so strong.
Wow.
Um but at least how I was training, I was like during the week I would do what I considered medium runs. So I would do two like 8 mile runs a week,
Yeah.
and then on the weekend I would do my long run, which it would build over time, but it got up to like 24 miles. And then on after that I would do like my recovery run, which was like about 5 miles.
Wow. You had a
um
system going there.
yeah, but you gotta recover after that, because after, especially after the 24 miles, your body's shot, right? You're not doing anything that whole day or the next day. You're just like
Really?
lying down, maybe stretching, icing your joints.
That's
And so
great.
that's like 2 days gone, plus the other 2 days for the runs, plus the other like the third. So you basically only have like 1 day a week where you can do anything
Hmm.
other than run.
Yeah.
Or unless people come over and you sit on the couch and talk to them, if you're cool with that. But like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I was pretty beaten up.
Wait, so you did the 24 in that was a regular week that you
Every week, it would build over time up there. So it
yeah,
started like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it started like half marathon, right? So it was
yeah.
like 12 miles, next 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It is a marathon, actually. I'm reading the comment. It's not like a marathon. It is a marathon.
It is a method. Janice, because Janice, she's actually she's part of the accountability group. And she's also part of the 1%. And
Okay.
yeah, and
Nice.
she is doing a marathon in June, if I'm
Oh,
correct me if
nice.
I'm wrong, in June, and then another one in September. So we got a couple
Nice.
people, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was kind of just like, yeah, I kind of wanted to do other things, which is ironic. I say I stopped because it was taking up so much time. And
Yeah.
then I switched to martial arts. Well, I had this idea. I was like, well, maybe I should just try and get a black belt in something. My young brain is just like, I'll get a black belt. It's no problem.
That's insane. Yeah.
So then I switched to martial arts. I started to Taekwondo, which then took up but it was I could quit, right? I guess that was the thing. Is like it took up all my time
Wow.
training, but
Yeah.
I chose to train. I mean, obviously I chose to run,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I could stop, right? If I needed to take a break, I can be like, hey, I'm going to back off this week and do something else.
Hmm.
So I did that for. I trained pretty hard for a couple years.
The running.
No, with the Taekwondo, until
Yeah.
I eventually got my black belt, and I just kept training and training, and I don't know, I just loved it. It was like I'm not just like the actual aspect of Taekwondo and doing martial arts, but you meet a lot of good people. You meet a lot of interesting people,
Yeah.
people that I know, like friends for life type thing.
So let's just take a step back
Yeah,
because you literally just went, wanted a black belt, train, and then I
I
did
got a black
like,
belt.
hold on a minute. That's actually where people, even myself, I'm like, what? how do you just train? Like, where did that come from? Like, talk to us a bit about that. What
Okay.
was that like?
Um, it's actually I'm not entirely sure. I don't know where did it come from is a very interesting question. And in terms of like it's all dedication, right? How much you put into something is how much you're gonna get out. And I feel like having just run a marathon, that's a lot of dedication. And so my
Mm,
mindset was very once like dedicated to doing something. And maybe it's my personality too. Like I hate to see things incomplete. If I start something, I have to finish it. It's just my how I
yeah,
am.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so oftentimes, like if I know I can't finish something, even like TV shows, right? I won't start a show unless I
yeah,
know I'm going to finish it.
yeah.
So a lot of times, if I know I can't finish it or I don't have the time, it's like I don't think I'm going to even start it because I know I'm not going to finish.
That's crazy because I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be like, no, that's I want to, but I know I'm not gonna finish it, so I don't even wanna. Game of Thrones, I haven't even watched an episode. Like,
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be
Same.
honest.
Actually, I've never watched Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
which I've read the books, which I'm really actually upset because he never finished the books, and so it's like bothering me.
Okay, okay, see that? Well, because then because my girlfriend, she watched the whole thing. She's like, "You should watch it," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"I don't know. Maybe if you're with me, like, I'll watch a bit.
yeah.
I won't be the one."
Yeah, you look and you're like 8 seasons. Oh man, that's a
Woo!
commitment.
Is it 8 seasons?
I
Oh,
think
man.
so. I think it's eight.
Okay, there you go. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but okay. So dedication, you learned from like the marathon. You had like
Yeah,
the idea of I can do this. Like
yeah.
on the days, how long did it take you to get the black belt? Like, what is that? What does that even look like?
I actually got it fairly quickly. I actually got it in 3 years, which normally takes longer.
Hmm.
Um, well, it should, because there's a whole thing in the martial arts community called we call them McDojos or black belt factories. People who produce like because
Ah,
it's like money as well, right? People will um, they'll give you a lot of like belt tests in order to make more money.
hmm.
But my instructor, he was very old school. His place is actually closed down now because he didn't really manage money well and he was getting older. But he just cared about like, hey, I just want to teach you how to fight.
Hmm.
Right? Like
Yeah,
his belt test, he just didn't care. He's like everything's at costs for belt tests. Like I'm not making money off this. I just want to train you guys, which
yeah.
is I think the way it should be.
Yeah.
Um,
What was like the what did you take most from that? Because again, just to give like context, because the people in the accountability group, we started off with your why, and every week we have kind of like a group meeting where we say like, what did you do this week
yeah.
to help you get to your like month-long goal,
Mhm.
so I don't know what was your kind of
Right.
journey through that whole.
So I guess the beautiful thing about martial arts is that there's always something you can learn and there's always something you can like push yourself to do. And I think that's probably a large part of it is that like I like to be able to push myself like not just mentally but physically as well to be able to achieve something. So
Right.
even now there's still like things that I have not achieved in martial arts, not just like belts or whatever, but like ability to do things or how to move
Hmm.
things or how to like like if you can spin like
Yeah, yeah,
5 times or
acrobatic.
something like that. So it's still I'm like still pushing myself to be able to continue and do that. But yeah, I think it's a lot of it. I like the mental aspect of it as well. It really helps you to remain calm under pressure. Really helps you like kind of level out and because if you're fighting somebody and someone's trying to punch or kick you in the face and you just start panicking, things are going to go very bad for you. So you kind
Yeah.
of forcibly put yourself in a very bad situation and force yourself to be calm during the entire thing. And that's when you can
Mhm.
really tell someone if someone's good at martial arts. They're either very calm or there's like this new mentality or idea that people are talking about. It's called playing, right? And so when people are very like playful when they're fighting, uh, which is which sounds like a little off-putting. I talked about people. I've talked to people about martial arts, and they always say like, "Yeah, you always sound like a serial killer when you talk about martial arts." You're just like hurting people, and you're just like, "Oh, I'm playing. It's fun."
Yeah. But you're saying to like really be in like its element, it's fun.
Yeah. It's what it is. It's fun, man. You just get into this zone, and you're just like playful and happy the whole time. Like you get kicked, and you just smile, right? It's like, oh, good hit, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's like
Yeah.
you're in this stressful situation. It just doesn't mean anything to you anymore, and that
Yeah.
translates to other things in life. You're in a stressful situation.
Yeah.
You don't
Absolutely.
like panic, like go fetal, start crying. You're like, okay, we're in a
Yeah.
situation. Let's just figure it out. Get to the end.
Yeah. It's funny because I tell I used to box. I boxed for a couple years, and
Nice.
it was always that first punch,
Yeah.
because I remember my first ball, I'm like, but then my coach is like, whoa, slow down. And
Yeah.
then I got my first punch in the face, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I think it kind of just it does something to you. I haven't really like thought about it, but it really does. I don't know.
Yeah. I've
And,
seen
and it's
a lot
true.
of
Like,
people quit after the first hit to the face. A lot of
mm,
people quit.
yeah,
They're like, this is not for me. Not doing this.
right, yeah. Fortune, he says that's awesome that you have a black belt. Good point on staying consistent. One of the biggest reasons why some people succeed at things is because they stay with that thing for longer, while some quit too early. It's exactly what you said.
Yeah, totally true. And like, I'm going to piggyback on that. Like, because, we talk about business. It's the same thing.
Oh
I,
wow,
I think I forgot who said it, but they said the difference between those that make it and those that don't is those that make it stick with it.
yeah,
Because things get hard, man. Things get hard. And
yeah,
it's a matter of whether you're going to deal with it or not.
yeah. And I remember our previous conversation, and it was just the way you said it. Like there's so much to learn while you're building a business, like a fire hose. It's just like, there's too
Yeah.
much information because
Yeah.
you have to learn it, but then you have to apply it. If you really don't have any application behind it, like it's just an idea, and and it's funny how it can translate so easily. Well, in this case, business, but martial arts in like life generally speaking, because there's so many lessons, like you mentioned. There's tons of things that you still haven't like learned yet, or you're in the process, because there's so much depth there. And just to go off that, Fortune is actually training to be an MMA fighter. So
Nice.
yeah, it'd be funny for him to come on, but yeah, that's crazy. That's really next level.
Yeah. So I'm gonna fast forward really quick because you talked about MMA fight. Because I recently got asked like someone else, well, why don't you try doing MMA? And they asked me that because I started training in jujitsu after COVID. After I guess I don't know 2021, 2022.
Mhm.
Technically before that, 2019, I started training in jujitsu and in Muay Thai, which is like grappling and striking. So more striking. I
Yeah.
guess I do a lot of striking. And so now in 2024, what we're in, I'm still training jujitsu and Muay Thai, and then of course Taekwondo. And so I have this next coming month. I'm getting training to get a blue belt in jujitsu, and then I actually have a Muay Thai match as well in the next month. Yeah, I got a lot going on.
Yeah, because we just talked a little bit about your business. Now you've got a training next month.
Yeah, yeah. So the next month, I'm just doing a lot of training, like trying to get as in shape as I can.
And what does that look like? I mean, do you have a routine in the morning? Because
Yeah, so that's actually to go with this. It's actually pretty interesting. There's a lot that just happened all at once. I had some friends who had this idea that they wanted to do a muscle gain slash weight loss, or sorry, fat loss challenge. And so we got DEXA. All of us got DEXA scans done. Do you know what a DEXA scan?
no,
It's like a full body composition scan of and it tells you like your different components of your body. So like how much muscle and lean mass do you have, and how much fat do you have, how much bone density do you have, and it like gives you this scan. I actually got my little
Whoa.
pamphlet here
Yeah.
telling me everything. So like it's actually
That-
funny because I do so much martial arts that the bone density, the scale goes up to 2.5, and mine was at 4.4. So it's like
Wait, bro. What is the scale on? Just the
it's let's see, for bone density, it's called a T score.
T score. I mean, like statistics T score, or is there another?
Yeah, target, body, T score, motor body, attention to mode, total body mass. It
My
tells you
God,
there.
that's like statistics. I haven't heard T score in a long time. That's funny.
Yeah.
If we're
So
talking about the same thing,
yeah.
scores and Z scores, and yeah.
So it's yeah, I'm at the same time while I'm doing this, I'm in like, it kind of works out, right? Because I'm like, okay, I have this fight coming up.
Yeah.
I'm in this fat loss muscle gain challenge.
That last
So
one. Yeah.
I got to do all of this together. And so what my routine is it changes a little bit day to day, but basically in the morning, maybe I try to have breakfast, go for like a walk, like for about a mile, come back, do some sort of do like 100 push-ups, 100 kettlebell swings, and then do like 30 minutes to an hour of yoga, to try and get my body, try and build some muscle, and then keep things loose and flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go train for like 2 hours in either Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, depending on the day, in the basically afternoon or lunchtime. And then the evening I go teach Taekwondo, because now I went from doing Taekwondo to teaching it, which I train with my students as well.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's pretty much my typical Monday through Thursday. Friday is like fight night. So same morning routine every morning, and then fight night I go fight, like do 13 rounds with people. In the evening.
Uh-huh.
And just come home and pass out. But now I'm adding also on the weekends, I'm going to be going to like the beach and going running. It's good to go to the beach too, because the sand causes your like kind of your feet to like do these tiny micro adjustments. So you're kind of working out all these tiny muscles in your joints as well. And it's also softer on your knees.
Yeah.
So that way it actually helps prevent injuries. And that's kind of the big thing what I'm going for now. I'm getting older. I'm not a young, spry 20-year-old anymore. So injury prevention is huge for me right now. Hence why I do a lot of yoga as well.
Yeah. Fortune asks, like, how are you balancing training, business, and life? Because we still haven't talked about, like, because I know you travel a lot for your for work, because you are bio.
That's a very good question. I think I'm probably not the best person who has balance. I do a lot of training, a lot of business, and not a lot of life. If I'm going to be entirely honest.
Yeah, no, because I think I mean you found what it is that you love to do. Like I guarantee some people like they're like, you have this thing that you're so passionate about. Like I would give anything to have that. So like that's not a negative at all. I would think. I don't.
Yeah. So it's the idea and the hope is that I'm going to not be working as much, because I'm still doing. I don't work a 9 to 5. I do consulting, so I kind of get to pick my own hours, and then of course starting my business. So it does give me the freedom to, and not the freedom. It gives me the flexibility to be able to do all of these things. However, I am constantly working, which does hamper your social life as well. And to other people out there, I mean, I don't have a wife, I don't have kids, so I don't have familial responsibility. I still have parents, which I help out every now and then. They're getting older, so I go visit them and take care of them a lot. But even then, it's like, just because I'm traveling, I'm still training. I'm doing something. Sometimes I find a gym wherever I travel to, because I was just in Japan for 3 months, and I found a gym out there. Actually, I found 2 gyms out there I was training at. And then because I could pick my own schedule. I could take some days off to go visit the country, view things, and then get to work. And so it's a fine balance. The beauty of what I've done and created for my life, and it's not like it was handed to me. I worked very hard to get to this point.
Mhm.
Is that I have the choice, right? I have that choice to be able to make of I'm gonna go, to do martial arts. I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna go travel as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
because I mean, I one of the reasons why we did the accountability group was because being able to start, and I mean, this is almost like personal, but starting is like the hardest thing. Um, and you just have to like do it enough that it becomes a habit or like integrated into your life. But then there's the thought of like longevity,
Yeah.
because once you start, like, okay, well, am I gonna do this for the rest of my life? Like, my God,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So for you to like naturally just be able to, I don't know, that
It is to me. It's if I don't work out for like a week, I feel like such garbage. Like I feel like I'm jonesing,
yeah,
right? I'm
yeah,
like, dude, I got to do something. I gotta work out. I got to do like push ups. Sit. I got to do something.
yeah.
And like I found what I love, and that's really what it is. Is that
Mm,
there's this old Kaiser Permanente commercial that really resonated with me. It was this woman. It was that her doctor told her to go. She has to do some exercise, and she tried a bunch of different things. Right? She tried running. She was trying volleyball. She tried pole dancing. Tried everything, and she hated all of it. And then she just started going like on hikes, and she absolutely loved it. And that was it. Right? It's not like you need to do these things. No, you need to find what you love, and then
yeah,
you need to do that. And if you're doing something that you love, to me, it's not like, oh, I need to work out. It's like, no, it's like it's part of who I am. It's part of what I'm doing. It's like I feel like crap when I don't do this thing.
yeah,
Like I hate missing going to like the gym and doing martial arts. I hate it. It's like,
yeah,
damn, I missed it today or I missed it this week. It's part of just who I am, right? It's not work to me.
yeah.
It's what I do.
That's such a great feeling. But it's interesting because I heard something. Actually, I read from a book, and it said we have it backwards in terms of like in terms of what your passions are, because we think that, oh, you have to just find your passion, and then once you have it, you'll be happy for the rest of your life. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Actually, the way it works, and like I'm trying to paraphrase, is you have to try tons of things,
Yeah,
and then once you try it, it becomes a passion. It's not like you have a passion and you do something. It's like, no, it's the reverse. You
yeah,
do something, then it becomes a passion, and then that's where you get that gratification where you're like, I don't ever want to miss this. And so it's kind of
yeah,
like, wow, I really like that idea. It gives you
yeah,
permission to kind of just, like you mentioned, oh, I just want a black belt instead of running, and then all of a sudden this thing has become such a vital
yeah, yeah. It's be
thing.
very open minded, right? Just try it. Try it.
Right.
Yeah, you can try it. You might fall in love, right?
Whoa. Would you say that's the same thing for business? Like I would say so.
I think so. Yeah, it's like I spent so much time, so much money becoming a scientist. Right?
Uh,
I spent all this effort doing it. And don't get me wrong, I like what I do. I like being a like an analysis or doing analysis and being analytical. Um, but man, just being able to run a company is very satisfying to me. Very
yeah,
satisfying.
yeah. I one of the reasons like I personally I why I left science is there wasn't like application to it, at least like what I was doing. I was just like, I don't think this is really doing anything for anybody, it's all your literature and your articles that stay with the university level, and then you're like, but who is this really helping? And I think that was a shift for me where I can take some things that I did study and did practice and did work at, and use this business platform to really be like, oh, this is interesting. I could really tangibly, you know, um, help people in a way, or in a manner that is actually satisfying, like, by using different things, like imagination, creativity, and like the actual application. But
Yeah.
um, there's something to it, and I don't think it's for everyone, to be honest, because it's really a space of like you're kind of constantly just learning things and not
Mhm.
knowing, because if you don't produce something, you don't make any money actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I heard recently, it was said the saying was said that entrepreneurs are uh, born, they're not made, right? You can't. It means like it takes a certain type of person to be an entrepreneur. So it
Hmm.
takes a certain type of person to start a business. Everyone kind of wants it, but it's not necessarily for everyone.
Yeah.
Because there will be sacrifices that you have to make, and it's going to be tough. And
Yeah.
some people will just, if you just want to basically work like a normal corporate job, which there's nothing wrong with that,
No.
right? Like I'm in the Bay Area. Like my dream was to like get a job at Google or something. That like people love that shit, dude. You make so much money. It's like such a good life. People in their like 20s, or like people who are just out of college, they just live in a van right outside the Google office because everything that they have is there. Right?
Mhm.
They have their gym, they have their shower, they have their laundry facility, they have like they even have like a play place for your kids. They have food. They have everything you could ever want. The only thing they don't have is housing. And if you just get like a dope van and pimp
Yeah.
it out, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
live in your van and go to work and have everything you need provided for you.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
sounds pretty good to me, man.
No, absolutely. It's funny because I've moved a lot, and I really realized that I don't need a lot of space. I mean, I have um like a room, for example. I think, what do I need? I need a bedroom, I need a kitchen, and I need a multi space
Yeah.
that's, where I can work and train and play music. For example, I play music.
Okay.
Like, if I have that, then I'm like, actually, I don't need a huge house,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't mind having, but I
Sure.
definitely don't need it.
Yeah, what
I
you
mean,
want and what you need are not the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel you on that one.
Well, there's a question. What's the biggest challenge you face running a company? Is there anything that surprised you so far?
Yeah, a couple things surprised me. I think the biggest one probably is how long it's taking. Like I thought I would have launched and been good and ready like 6 to 8 months ago.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am shocked how long it's taking.
Right. Yeah. I think it's one thing that I've noticed on my part, is sometimes you just don't know what to do. I don't, like,
Yeah, so like there is like a game plan or like a path that we kind of like. Okay, I kind of have an idea of the trajectory I
of
need to
course.
go. It's hard. It's wavy. It's not clear, but I know where I need to go. Um, I'm actually thinking. I've been thinking about this recently, and I think you brought this up. You were talking about having each other be accountable for not in your Facebook group, but like for business group.
Mhm.
And I was thinking after I launch, I don't really know where to go. Right? I have ideas about like what I want to do afterwards in terms of like building a bigger brand and products and everything like that. But I have to grow my first product and my first brand, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't actually have a clear path for that.
Yeah.
Like everything up until then, I have a path. I have a clear like checkpoints and destination. Once I
Mhm.
get there, I'm like, I don't actually.
Yeah.
And I guess I've been stuck in this getting to launch phase for so long that it's kind of not really been in the forefront of my mind until very recently.
Mhm.
Because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be getting my finalized sample, my finalized product soon, and then I begin full scale production, and then I launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a long time frame. I have to think
No.
about what's after that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta get
Yeah.
on this.
Well, and it's funny because I think that brings up, actually, to reiterate what I meant, is you have a clear path. You like you know what to do, but what do you do when that thing doesn't work out actually? Like, how do I troubleshoot? That's actually what I meant. And it kind of goes in line with what you just said. Okay, I have a path, but once I launch it, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do then? Like, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of like the things that you don't see happening or you don't, yeah, like that's when it's like, whoa, this is gonna take longer than I thought
yeah.
actually.
I feel like having a accountability group or a mastermind. Sorry, that's what it's called. Having a mastermind is probably one of the most helpful things you can do, because when you get to things like that, you can ask. You can just ask your group, right? We have one, and it's luckily a lot of. It's very I don't want to say elitist. That's not the right word. What is? But we were handpicked, right? Like someone actually
I
chose all of us
that's
to
true
be in
actually.
this group.
Yeah.
Um, and the
Uh-huh.
beauty of that is that it's all competent people, right? And so if I
Yeah.
throw a question out there, it's going to be a bunch of competent people who are in a very similar situation
Yeah.
to you and me, to our own situation. So we have a
Mm,
lot of competent people, similar situation, who can all, if they can't, if there is no answer, they can all brainstorm it together.
yeah. Oh
And
man, I love that.
that
Yeah.
that is so helpful, like
Yeah.
so helpful. And I think it's a resource that at least I personally think I underutilize.
Hmm. Um, do you think that that has helped you even on like your taekwondo journey as well? I because even when I was studying, for
Mhm,
example, that's the way I viewed my colleagues, to be honest. Like they were all handpicked to
mhm.
be where I am today. And anytime I reached out, I just knew that I was talking with competent people. And I don't think I would be anywhere I am today in like all aspects of my life in terms of like training, because I do capoeira, which is a martial arts, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I know
like,
it.
I don't, if I didn't have a group to help me do that, I'm like, "Oh, man," and then there's business, and then there's, all these different aspects. I think it kinda comes down to, like, having that thing for
Mm.
every aspect of your life.
Yeah, yes, there is the concept of I'm gonna go beyond the concept of like the five closest people you hang out with, or you no, you sorry, you are the average of the five closest people you hang out
Yeah.
with.
Mhm.
I think that expands into other aspects as well. So, like in terms of
Wow.
business, if you hang out with a lot of strong business-minded people who are, highly intelligent, or not even intelligent, just competent, right? You don't necessarily
Yeah.
have to be intelligent; you just have to be competent.
Yeah, 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 it's completely
So,
different things actually,
you,
yeah,
you hang out with a lot of competent people, you're gonna have a lot of competent answers, and you're gonna be competent yourself. And
yeah.
then going to like training as well, that's a very true. Like I in terms of not taekwondo, because I'm kind of pretty high level now. So there's not a lot of people I hang out with. I'm
Mm.
kind of my my own resource for the most part. There's
Yeah.
very few
Wow,
people I talk to anymore. But in
that's
terms
cool.
of like specifically jujitsu and Muay Thai, uh, obviously there's the coaches, but the people who I actually train with in Muay Thai specifically, is this is my first fight, so it's like it's going to be a pretty low stakes fight.
Okay.
But the people who I train with are part of the fight team, right? These are the people who like compete internationally, and these are the people
Oh,
I specifically train with. Now, I'm not. It's not the only group that's there. There's a large variety of people, but
yeah.
when I go and train, I specifically look for them, and they look for me. Like I'm part of that crowd,
Yeah.
the crowd, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's because even though I'm not an international fighter, uh, I am getting the international fighter. I am, I guess, I'm part of that group, so I get them beyond, right? They see me as like an aspect to get themselves better, and vice versa.
Mhm.
Certain, granted, what we're getting from each other might be slightly different, but we
Right.
need each other in order
Yeah,
to push each other and go
yeah,
further.
yeah.
Um, same thing with jujitsu, right? I'm just getting to my blue belt, and which is like not very high level,
Mhm.
but still, all the like brown and purple belts want to train with me, and those are like the higher level belts,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, I see
so
what
it's
you
like
mean.
I'm getting a lot better. I think a lot some it depends on who I'm training with. I think a lot of people just see a lot of potential in me. in terms of jujitsu, because I'm relatively new to grappling, which is what jujitsu is.
Yeah.
So people like see a lot of potential in me, and so that's why they like to train with me,
Yeah. 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 Well,
because I'm competent.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so key. I mean, and I found like you could find competency in so many different ways because
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I like capoeira is first I liked it, but when you have a master that comes in, they'll always invite like the newbies, like they'll
Mhm.
you're playing with me right now. And one of the things is that I found was so interesting. They do that on purpose,
Mhm.
of course, to bring them out of their comfort zone. But they continuously, when you play with someone new,
Yeah.
they have this childlike curiosity of, you know what I mean? Like that they don't have the skills yet, but they have that energy. And for like a master to revisit that, be like, oh yeah, I remember
Mm.
like when I was right just
Yeah.
starting out, I remember what that is, and it's like there is that exchange,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Yeah. Ah, that is interesting. I really thought about it that way. Yeah, it's like a lot of parents. I hear from a lot of parents, not a parent, but a lot of parents when they see like they're re-experiencing their own childhood through their child type of
Mm,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting.
While going through this launch, how do you feel about the skills you'll need, like operations, marketing, sales, managing cash flow, etc.? What are you asking difficult questions, man?
That's a multi-faceted
Yeah.
question. That's how do I feel about it? Well, we kind of talked a little bit about drinking from a fire hose.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Oil
I guess
work.
the good thing is I had some of these skills before. Like
Yeah.
I've always been very good with money and very good with numbers, right? I did data analysis. So managing cash flow to me is not that difficult, right? And I have like spreadsheets on spreadsheets, and to me it makes sense. I'm sure somebody else read them. They're like, "What the hell is this?" But to me
Yeah.
it makes sense. In terms of like operations, it's just I'm also a pretty fairly organized person, so
Hmm.
and it's about creating systems. I feel the
Yeah.
system things that are repeatable, right? Try and make things repeatable. So that was not too difficult for me. The other two, I would say, marketing and sales, uh, is the one that's I have difficulty with and that I need to learn or need to be better about. So marketing, luckily, there's a lot of resources now,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm whereas I may be creating a product that doesn't really exist, I'm not reinventing the wheel in terms of learning about selling a product, right? This has been done so many times before.
Yeah.
So I just basically I just copy what somebody else has already done, right? I just
Yeah.
see what other people have done and I kind of see the flow and how they got to where they are and just kind of follow that process. I there's a lot of podcasts and books that you can and that I am also reading to help me as well. Um, and it's interesting because one of my very first jobs, I was actually an admissions manager at a business school.
Mhm.
And I didn't know anything about business, but I would always hear these like business buzzwords flying around all the time just because I worked in it, right? So it's just like
Mhm.
osmotically absorbed all these things. And now that I'm actually in business, a lot of the things that I heard back in my when I how
Yeah.
old was I? I was 20, 23, 24.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm hearing it like 12 years later. I'm like, oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, this makes sense now.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because sometimes that's happened to me so many times that you'll hear something several times, and it's not until you hear it in a particular way
Mhm.
you're like, oh, and then the other person's like, well, I've been telling you that the whole time. I'm like, oh, okay. Sometimes it's embarrassing, but it's great. Well, because the important part is actually when you get it. Like
Yeah.
that's actually it. Like when you get it, you get it. And
Yeah.
that's what's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the saying is like better late than never, right?
Yeah. 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 So that's what I'm doing for marketing. It's social media marketing is what I'm doing. I'm just saying what people very similar to me have done and just more or less copying them.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then putting your own spin, which
yeah,
is
of course, of
and
course.
that's like that's for me has been like the biggest that I think that is the part that has taken me the longest because
Mm,
that can be like a rabbit hole. I mean,
yeah,
you hear all these things like mindset, but I mean, a year and a half ago, I'm like, mindset, what are you talking about? And now I'm like, okay, mindset, this mindset, that mindset. And it's just like you have to really because the most interesting part about a brand that I find is um, there's like let's say three components uh, of a message. You know, you have the your information that you want to give. So if you're trying to educate someone, there's like facts, right? And there's trends, for example, that you can kind of hop on what's currently happening. But the element that really makes you you is like your personality, your story, your message. And that's like, whoa, that's actually the piece that glues everything together. Because you just said everyone's done marketing, everyone's done sales. You're not reinventing anything. So what's actually the most important part of what you're doing? Well, it's you actually.
yeah. No, that's a very good way of saying. I probably should have elaborated more on that, and which actually you kind of brought it up, but like what your brand is and having your kind of like your mission state. I think it's called your mission statement, but your brand personality about like what you represent, like
Yeah.
your personification, what you're trying to portray and show through your company and brand. I think is important, and that's basically what it is, right? That's kind of what I was kind of alluding to somewhat poorly, is that
Mhm.
you have that core that you've created for your brand, which is your or and yourself, and then you're just taking all the other factor, all the fancy clothes, right? All
Yeah.
the marketing and sales techniques that people tell you, and then just putting it on what you've created. But
Yeah.
having that core is important, and it really is what's going to set you apart from
Yeah.
everybody else. So although you're doing the exact same thing everybody else is, you're unique because you're you.
Yeah. And I find, I mean, maybe it's a poor connection, but in terms of like the all of the martial arts that you've been doing up until now, do you do you find that it has helped you to like pursue everything that you currently do? I mean, you're gonna
Um,
fight next month, like okay, yeah,
maybe to an extent. I think it's helped me in terms of the mindset, right? Having being dedicated and sticking through things, and just
mm,
like having that mindset, like I just can't quit. I cannot quit until this is done.
yeah,
I think that's what's helpful.
yeah. I think I completely agree. Um, no, I think out of every because yeah, that word mindset is I don't know. I try to keep things a little bit more simple, and I think you just said it. I think a lot of the things that have helped me is just like don't quit,
Yeah,
don't stop. I think that really is whatever helps you to not quit. The important part is
yeah,
just don't quit
yeah,
because and I think business is just a little bit bigger because it really is like so many moving components. But in terms of yeah, jujitsu or capoeira or boxing or whatever it is, I mean,
mhm,
it's just like if you just don't stop and you keep going,
yeah,
um, yeah, like you will reach things that you've never
yeah.
not
Absolutely.
possible.
I think the for all of those things that you just mentioned, from business, boxing, capoeira, taekwondo, barrier entry is a little difficult. Um, it can be very intimidating, especially when you see somebody who's very good at it next to
Yeah,
you, right? It's like
yeah,
you just have this mindset like, I'm never gonna get there. Like, look at this guy. He's like doing crazy backflips and like or like, he's already like $1 million seller after 1 year. Like, man, I have $20 in my pocket. It's, but it's so
right here. Yeah, but I'm
it's
not worried. That's the thing,
yeah,
I'm not worried. and I think that's what, like, you met. I don't know what to say about this, but it's true. Like, you have to have some sort of character to be
Yeah.
like, I'm not worried about that. I know it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? That those people that you're comparing yourself to, you're all seeing, they were once you, but they
yeah,
didn't quit. But they
yeah,
didn't quit.
yeah. And sometimes it's like hard to believe, but I think that's the only thing that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of things in between, but I mean,
Sure.
some people have
It's
more
like my
resources.
story about becoming a black belt, right? It's like and same with business. Yeah, so I had like $20 in my pocket, and then I became a millionaire. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Hold up, you skipped something.
There you go. Exactly. We come full circle. Fortune asks, when are the gummies launching? Can I get on a list?
You can get on a list if you go to swolebearsgummy.com and
Oh,
sign up. You can
yeah.
be on the email list, and I'll let you know the moment they launch. Actually, I'll let you know before they launch. We don't have an exact date yet because I needed to give the final approval before production launches.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't read. I literally got the email moments before we started
Oh,
talking.
oh, wow. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna take probably like I think 2 weeks to get the full production done. Um, yeah, it's gonna be soon. So in the next month or two, I would say.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I'll be sure to give me the information so I can put it into the chat and everything and like the description of today's talk. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. I think yeah, so couple weeks coming up. Any last things that yeah, you how can we reach you? How can we get in touch with you?
Yeah. Hopefully, I think we'll be in the description somewhere. But
Yeah.
Swoley Bears or Swole Bears, Instagram, TikTok. It's mainly where you're gonna find me. I do have a Facebook and YouTube, but mostly you're gonna hear from me on Instagram and TikTok, or go to swolebearsgummy.com
Mhm.
and I'll send you a personal email if you if you sign
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
I'll give you a thank you.
Yeah.
We had an Indiegogo, but it's closed now.
Okay.
So pre-orders are done, and you just gotta wait for the real thing to come out.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah. And then yeah, just kind of last thing. I know when's your fight in
It's April 12th.
whoa, that's jujitsu.
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. I
Yeah.
trained one time and I'm like, that whole shin kicking thing.
Yeah.
No, I can't do that.
One elbow to the face, like, I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, because we started training like kicking shins. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, actually, I don't think Muay Thai is my thing. It's
Yeah.
the bone to bone is
Yeah.
that
It took a while, man. Even then, I still like sometimes I come home with like bruised shins. Yeah,
holy.
get my icy hot and everything. Just lather myself up.
Yeah, that's crazy. Kimmy, hello. Actually, we're just kind of closing up. Yeah, catch the replay. We were just talking to David Lewis, and he's talking about his business and fitness, and he's got a fight next week for Muay Thai, and he's a bio technologist. Sorry, what is it that?
I'm a bioinformatician. So
Bio.
I write computer programs to analyze scientific data.
Wow. Janet, yeah, thank you guys for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for
so
everybody showing up. Like, I appreciate you coming through.
yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely put your information in the description so we can get in touch with you. And thank you. I mean, just for the accountability group because we're midway, and then you being able to. I just thought it was so funny how I want a black belt and and then I have a black belt. Like, no, 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 no. Let's what helped you there,
Yeah,
motivation, discipline, like, and at the end it's I think uh just don't quit,
yeah.
just
The
keep
biggest
going.
thing. Don't quit. You want something? Don't quit.
Yeah, nice, cool. All right, finish it off there. That was a nice positive lead. Thank you again for stopping by, man, and then
Thank you.
sharing some of your wisdom. And yeah, absolutely good luck with the launch. Looking forward to it because the idea of gummies is super. So yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
lots of success for you, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Cool. All right. All right. End stream. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.